Finally, we have a good Fantastic Four movie. The Fantastic Four, The First Steps, hits theaters this week. I got to check out an early screening of it last night, and I had a really good time with this movie. I can safely say that this is the best Fantastic Four movie that we've gotten to date. And with that said, the bar was set pretty low, so it was pretty hard for this movie to be worse than the other ones that we got. This movie hits on a lot of levels that I didn't expect. When it was initially announced, the cast and everything, I had my doubts with it because the cast seemed like a very random assortment of people. You got Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Eben Moss-Bachrach, a very good cast of people, but they all just kind of seemed very specific for some reason, and I wasn't really sure how they were going to flow together and how their chemistry was going to be. Within the first 10 minutes of this movie, I bought into the family dynamic. The family dynamic of this movie is one of the best aspects by far. Everybody here is doing a great job. Everybody gives a really good performance, and their chemistry together is a highlight of the movie. You really feel for this family. This family makes you want to be a part of their family. Like, they joke with each other, they laugh with each other, they get serious with each other, they cry together, they do everything together extremely well, and they feel like a real built-in family. And that's something that's missing from a lot of these MCU movies. And I'm a big MCU fan. I've liked the majority of these movies. But when it comes to some of the character dynamics and family stuff, it's lacking a little bit here and there. This feels very genuine, and I was glad to see that in a movie like this. Elsewhere in the movie, it's a bit lacking when it comes to the storyline. It's a pretty basic setup. You have Galactus, which is this huge being from another planet. He wants to come and destroy Earth, but he is willing to not destroy it if Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman give up their newborn son. He will spare their planet. Obviously, they don't want to do this, and it becomes a whole thing, and it actually becomes a pretty interesting dynamic between them and the rest of the people on their planet, because they're all like, hey, all you got to do is give up this kid to this being. We're all safe. Obviously, nobody would ever want to give up their kid that way. So it makes for an interesting dynamic, and there's some things there that I do like. Just the overall basis of the story just feels a little generic, and you have a little bit lacking of depth in the villain department when it comes to Galactus, who, he probably doesn't need that much depth to begin with. He's just a big, scary villain and intimidating being. And that's cool and everything, but, I would have liked maybe just a little bit more. You also have Julia Garner, who is playing the Silver Surfer in this movie. She gets a little bit more depth than Galactus overall, and I think she does good in the role. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of the character overall, but what's here is perfectly fine. I do enjoy some of the scenes with her, but it just feels like they could have had a little bit more done with their side of the story versus what we get with the Fantastic Four. Now, elsewhere in the movie, I think everything else here is working pretty much all the way through. You have some really great effects work. Visually, this is one of the best looking Marvel movies to date. It's beautifully shot. The CGI and the special effects look great throughout. The only instances where they don't look very good, you have a lot of CGI baby in this movie. And that seems to be a running trend this year for not only just superhero movies, but for whatever reason, Hollywood just can't do CGI babies very well. And that's been a running theme for quite some time. But outside of that, you do have a little bit of an issue still with stretchy Mr. Fantastic. This is the best iteration of it. It looks the best it's ever looked in any of these movies. However, it still just looks a little too cartoony. And unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get it to ever look better than what we get here. So it works for what it is. And I like the aesthetic of this movie. Setting it in a futuristic version of the 60s, I think plays well into these characters. They feel more lived in this world because, yeah, it is a different Earth than the main part of the MCU. So it is interesting to see their storyline kind of not really overlap with everything else. It's a very straightforward story. It's their own story, and you don't have a lot of overlap from other things, from other universes and things like that. So I do appreciate that part of the movie as well. The score here is absolutely fantastic. You have Michael Giacchino, who always does a fantastic job, no pun intended, when it comes to scores. Here he's killing it once again. I love every aspect of this score. And that's something that's always kind of missing from a lot of MCU movies. Outside of Black Panther and, maybe one or two other ones where you have an actual score that really stands out, you don't get much of that in many other ones. This one, it definitely stands out, and it is really a joy to hear throughout the entire movie. Elsewhere in the cast, you don't really have much in the way of characters outside of the two main villains and obviously the Fantastic Four. You got the little robot Herbie running around. He, adds some comic relief from time and time again. You have Natasha Lyonne, who's basically kind of wasted in this movie. You have Paul Walter Hauser, who plays the Mole Man. He is not in the movie very much, but the small moments that he gets are actually pretty humorous. And then, unfortunately, John Malkovich was supposed to be in this movie, and he got cut out for unknown reasons. I guess just they couldn't really work his character into the movie. But you do get, I think, a kind of a glimpse of where his character maybe was supposed to be. So that's unfortunate. But, they're doing what they can with the limited amount of time they're given. But I think everybody else in the cast here is really killing it. Vanessa Kirby is probably the biggest standout as Sue Storm. Her performance is really good here. She is not necessarily kind of like the lead anchor of the movie. It's really a good dynamic between her and Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. Both of them work a really good dynamic as the leaders of this team, but you get really great performances out of Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm and Eben Moss-Bachrach as Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. This is also the best that The Thing has ever looked in any of these movies. It's great to see a design that looks more like the original comic books. That looks great. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I had a really good time with it. It's very entertaining. It's a lot of fun, but there are some moments where it does get tense. Even though you pretty much probably know where things are going to go, there were moments where I actually was kind of thinking, hey, maybe they might do something, a bit different. Maybe they might take something in a different direction than what was expected. And, watch the movie, you'll see what happens. But I appreciated that it was able to still build tension despite it being, another comic book movie, another superhero movie. And we tend to know how these things are generally going to go. So overall, I really enjoyed this movie, and I would give it a B+. It's up there with Superman as arguably the best two comic book movies of this year. I'll have to watch both again to kind of see which one maybe I lean more towards, but both of them are definitely at the top when it comes to comic book movies for 2025. And I think this has actually been a really good year for comic book movies. I know not a lot of people were all that fond of Captain America: Brave New World, but personally, I actually enjoyed it for the most part, but it's definitely the weakest of the four. Thunderbolts, I thought was a really surprising and solid entry in the MCU. Superman kind of took me by surprise because I'm not a very big Superman fan, and now we have the Fantastic Four, which everything up till this point has been very disappointing, so it's great to finally see a good Fantastic Four movie, and I definitely recommend you guys check it out once it hits theaters later this week. That's about it for me, guys. When you do get the opportunity to see the Fantastic Four First Steps, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more reviews, rankings, all kinds of good stuff. I'll leave all my links down below on where you can follow me and check out more of my reviews. And until next time, I'll catch you guys